The Andurian sector was notorious for producing warriors unmatched in skill, and none were more feared than the elite alien fighter assigned to protect the Emperor's outer territories. I had heard the stories. Humans had no chance against her, and anyone foolish enough to challenge her usually vanished without a trace. Yet there I was, a human engineer sent to perform routine maintenance on her command station, standing in a corridor that would soon become my trial by fire. Her reputation preceded her. As I approached the training deck, the air itself seemed to vibrate with her presence. Every soldier and officer I passed bowed instinctively, some even flinching in fear at my proximity. I wasn't supposed to interact with her directly, but a system malfunction required immediate attention, and the alien warrior was the only one authorized to oversee the repairs. I entered the vast training hall, and there she was. Towering, muscular, and exuding lethal precision, her energy armor shimmered in the faint light of the deck. Her violet eyes locked on me instantly, sharp and calculating. I could almost feel the judgment in her gaze. "You are human," she said, her voice low and commanding, "and you are here alone. Explain yourself." I'm here to repair the command station systems," I stammered, my hands gripping the toolkit. "There's a malfunction in the grav field regulator. I need to access it before it triggers a cascade failure." Her eyes narrowed. "Most humans do not last 5 minutes in my presence without faltering." I'll do my best, ma'am," I replied, trying to mask the trembling in my voice. Her lips curled into a hint of a smirk. Bold words. "Let us see if your actions match them." Before I could respond, she raised her energy blade, the hum of its plasma edge slicing through the air. Her stance was flawless, every movement precise. I froze, not from fear, but from sheer realization that a single misstep would be fatal. The first strike came swiftly, faster than any human could anticipate. My instinct screamed, and I barely raised my hands to deflect the blade. Sparks flew as my armored gloves connected with hers, and I stumbled backward, heart pounding. She expected me to falter, to crumble under her assault, but I forced myself to focus. Every step, every block, every breath became a battle against instinctual terror. "You are reckless," she said mid-swing, circling me with predatory grace. "Most humans are too weak to counter me. Why should I spare you?" I focus on what I can control," I managed to say, ducking another strike that threatened to sever the arm I had just blocked. "Mistakes don't define me. They teach me." Her violet eyes flickered, almost with surprise. No human had ever spoken to her like that. For a moment, she hesitated, a fraction of a second that meant the difference between life and death. I saw my chance. As her blade swung toward me in a lethal arc, I stepped into her strike, gripping the hilt mid-swing. My muscles screamed in protest, but I held it. The plasma edge buzzed against my gloves, sending a jolt of energy through my body. She stopped abruptly, eyes wide, clearly unprepared for resistance from a human. You stopped me," she whispered, disbelief in her tone. "Humans do not survive this." "I just didn't want to die," I said, panting, trying to steady my hands and mind. "And I'm not most humans." Her stance softened slightly, though the tension never fully left her posture. "Interesting," she said. "Few dare to oppose me and live to speak of it." Over the next hours, what began as a life-or-death encounter turned into a tense collaboration. She allowed me to work on the command station systems while observing my every move. At first, her supervision was harsh, demanding, and relentless. But slowly, she began testing me in ways beyond the technical, challenging my reflexes, my problem-solving, and my ability to remain calm under pressure. Each test was deadly. One required me to recalibrate the grav field while dodging energy traps that could disintegrate me instantly. Another involved navigating a series of moving platforms over a pit of charged plasma. Each time, I survived not through skill alone, but through focus, quick thinking, and a willingness to learn from the mistakes that inevitably occurred. Throughout it all, she observed me, her violet eyes measuring, calculating, and perhaps even admiring. For the first time, I realized that her initial intent, seeing me as an easy target, had shifted. My resilience, my human ingenuity, and my refusal to cower in fear had intrigued her. By the end of the day, the final test was simple but symbolic, a sparring session to demonstrate not just skill, but the mental fortitude that had carried me this far. She moved with lethal grace, each strike a blur. But instead of striking to kill, she tested precision, reaction time, and courage. I countered her attacks with calculated blocks, parried just enough to demonstrate competence, and even forced a few openings where she could have landed a blow. When I stood, chest heaving, gloves scorched from her plasma edge, she stepped back and lowered her blade. "You survived," she said. "Not by luck, but by strength, determination, and focus." "I survived because you allowed me to," I replied humbly. A pause hung between us, long and almost tangible. Then she did something unexpected. She extended a hand. "Few humans earn my respect. Fewer still survive this trial. You have done both." I took her hand cautiously, feeling a mixture of triumph, relief, and disbelief. In that moment, the fear and tension of the entire day melted away. The alien warrior, the being whose name struck terror across the sector, had acknowledged me, not as prey, but as an equal in resilience. In the weeks that followed, our dynamic evolved. I continued my maintenance duties, but now with a subtle camaraderie that had never existed before. She would occasionally invite me to spar, not to kill, but to challenge, to teach, and perhaps even to bond. She allowed me closer to her quarters, to her systems, and even to conversations no human had ever been permitted. The initial strike, the moment I defied her, had created a bridge of trust and mutual respect. Months later, as the station orbited a distant star, she approached me privately. "You are unlike any human I have known," she said, her voice softer, almost contemplative. "You survive where others fail. You endure where others falter. And you have my attention." I smiled, feeling a strange mix of pride and humility. I guess it was just a human instinct to survive and to try my best. She tilted her head, violet eyes glinting. "Perhaps it is more than instinct. Perhaps it is the human spirit, unpredictable, resilient, and bold." I realized then that survival was only part of the story. The true victory lay in the recognition, the mutual respect, and the unspoken understanding between two beings from entirely different worlds. She had expected me to die, to be just another human casualty in her legendary record of supremacy. But I hadn't. And in that defiance, a bond had formed, one that transcended fear, species, and expectation. As I left the sparring deck that day, she spoke one final time. "Remember this, human. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the strength to face it. And in that, you have proven yourself extraordinary." I nodded, heart swelling, knowing that in the galaxy's vast expanse, a single human's defiance had shifted perception, earned respect, and survived where countless others had failed. And that day, I understood the truth.